Everyone, welcome in on Wednesday night here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football at 7 o'clock Eastern time. And you should be right here where you are, ready for the 2019 football season. It is finally here. It is just 3 days away, and we are talking Florida State football with a big game number one against Boise State. On the top, we've got Jason Parker from Chop Chat. We got Logan Robinson from Knoll Game Day. How are you boys doing tonight?
Well, first of all, let's say maybe having the opener. Obviously, we still have a weather thing. We'll talk about that momentarily. So let's put a little asterisk by maybe the season opener for Florida State football.
Yep, exactly. Hope you all are having a good evening. It's finally game week now. I know I was excited about it last week, but now I'm very stoked. Hopefully there will be a game on Saturday, but I'm kind of getting to the point now where you just start getting irritated about talking football, and definitely when it's about the team that you're covering, I'm ready to go see some stuff so I can say, all right, well, I was completely wrong about that. I'm ready to learn and see.
It's our 14th edition of Florida State Seminoles Live. Again, Logan Robinson from Knoll Game Day. Please join him for his Florida State football take, and also Jason Parker from Chop Chat. So check these guys out and what they provide each and every day on Florida State Football Talk. And we've been talking, as Logan mentioned. But this time next week, we will have a game to look back on. Hopefully, we believe we will. And we will have a game to look forward to. So we've waited all this time, Jason, to talk football. But we're not going to talk football first and foremost. We're going to talk the weather, unfortunately. And we all want to see a great football game. We want to see a football game. But if it's at the detriment of lives and safety, then that may be a different matter.
And let's all, and we joke and we kid here, and we can talk about Popeyes a little bit later. I will talk about that. But on a serious note with this storm is going to be serious at this moment. Hurricane Dorian, for those of you who are either not in the state of Florida or have been paying attention, this is going to be a serious storm that's coming through. Right now, the latest tracks from the National Hurricane Center have it essentially hitting north of Orlando, kind of closer to the Daytona Beach, New Smyrna Beach area, or starting on Sunday afternoon, heading into Monday being the serious part. And right now, there is a decent chance that this is going to be a Category 3 storm. So we're talking about 115 miles an hour. Think of it a little bit less than what hit last year in the Panhandle with Hurricane Michael. This is going to be a serious storm, and that's why I'm sorry. And I'm going to take one moment. I'm going to get on my soapbox real quick. FSU should have canceled this game. FSU, I know they're talking with Boise State, with the ACC, with ESPN. I want this game to be played. I've got tickets. I've got press pass. I'm planning on being up there if the game is going to be played and safety permits. That being said, this is the safety we're talking about right now. 45,000 to 50,000 people at least who are going to be coming from across the state. Myself, I'm coming from the Fort Lauderdale area, people coming from the Fort Myers area, Tampa, Orlando. This is a serious problem because you're going to have, that's an additional 50,000 people coming to an area that needs to evacuate if this storm continues on its current track. And all the models have it coming right now. They all tend to be in a consensus that it's going to hit this area. It, to me, and I love my alma mater, it is an asinine move by FSU to not cancel this game. This game does not need to be played. The safety comes first. Governor DeSantis here in the state has issued state of emergencies for all the counties that are in that area, in the Orlando area, the Jacksonville area, the Daytona Beach area. People need to be getting out. There does not need to be 50,000 plus people coming into Jacksonville, not to mention the people flying in from Boise, from out of state, who are going to be coming in just to watch this football game. I get that there's talk about it maybe happening earlier in the day, happening at noon, 11 o'clock in the morning. That's pushing it. That is seriously pushing it for a football game to basically say, okay, we're going to have this football game, and then 24 hours later, a 115-mile-an-hour storm is going to be coming through the area. FSU should cancel the game. They should have already canceled the game. Everyone involved should have been behind this move. There does not need to be a football game at this point. I love the Noles. Trust me, I think FSU is, if the game is played, I think FSU wins this game, and I don't want us to lose a game. Obviously, both teams don't share a common bye week like has happened in the past. In 2017, when the Florida State-Miami game got postponed, they both shared a common week. It got moved to October. Rescheduling the game with Louisiana Monroe that season, it was able to work out. There is no common bye week. It's either cancel this game and it doesn't get played, or you risk, I don't want to say you risk lives, but you risk safety. Everyone could get out. I could just be an alarmist on this one. But as somebody who is a Florida native, I've been through storms in South Florida, Central Florida, and North Florida. This storm is not going to be anything to mess with. There have been storms before that have this is one of the few storms that I'm seriously worried about. I am seriously concerned about it, and whether people, I work for a TV station down here, and whether people have said that there is a possibility that areas in the Daytona Beach area could be seriously damaged. We're talking about decimated. We're talking about the same stuff that you saw last year in the Panhandle. Maybe not to the exact where like Mexico Beach got absolutely annihilated, but we're talking about areas that will take years to rebuild if this storm stays on its current track. There's no need to play a football game this weekend.
So just to be clear, Jason, if you were in charge, you wouldn't even mess with the game time. You would just cancel and look for an alternate date, or maybe the game has to be canceled, period. But you would go that route rather than trying to mess with the game time.
This track, it was not a Category 3 level. It was a Category 2 for a while. But the same track has been going since Monday night into Tuesday. I've been having conversations with people since Monday night about this storm. What you do on Monday, and I spoke to a source in the FSU media relations department, and this was on Monday, and they acted like, oh, it's going to come on Sunday, it's not going to be a big deal. No, it was a big deal. The path of the storm, the fact that people had to get out, this was a big deal starting Monday. What they should have done on Monday was make a decision. You either A, move the game to Friday. I know the Jaguars are playing on Thursday night, but you can do a quick turnaround. They do it at stadiums that have NFL teams all the time. There's one down here in South Florida where they turn around from a night Canes game to a 1 o'clock Dolphins game all the time. It can be done. Does it suck? Absolutely. But safety comes first. So you either move the game to Friday. On Monday, they should have decided to either cancel it then or move the game to Friday. Moving the game to Friday at least gives you another 24 hours of leeway. And maybe it moves the Wisconsin USF game over to ESPN2. Oh, boo-hoo. And you get this game in. By today, the decision should have been made to cancel the game. And the fact that they're sitting there saying, oh, we're not going to make the decision until tomorrow, it's either going to be we canceled the game and it's what took you so long, or they moved to the game to 11 a.m. or noon and they look like idiots. So either way, FSU doesn't win on this one.
So I don't know enough about the situation to make a call that would be a reputable type call. But based on the information you just provided, Jason, I would think that so if the game is moved or the game is canceled and then it turns out not to be as big a storm as we anticipated, or if the storm hits at a time in which we could have played and gotten people out, there can always be that second guessing afterwards. But we should always caution on the side of safety, and I would do that. And it sounds like Friday night kickoff would be the best way to go. I don't know if you have any thoughts about it, Logan.
My dad's a pilot, so he's been looking at this for over a week now. The system's been building. The interesting thing, and Jason talks about it most about this game Saturday, but I'm kind of wanting people to also start thinking about Florida State's home opener too, because I don't want to be some meteorologist and all this kind of stuff, but most of these tracks right now, this thing doesn't know if it wants to go north or south and then get into the Gulf, or go up north more and they'll go sit in the Gulf. But I'm interested to see, that would, if it were to sit on there, I know at 5 p.m., one of the models is saying it would sit in the Gulf for like 3 days. That'd be Wednesday, Thursday, and then Florida State has its home opener then on Saturday. I'm interested to see, if Florida State does cancel this game, which I honestly don't think they will for this Saturday. But if they do, then you're looking at that game, but then also possibly whenever this thing stretches and hits through that interior of Florida down there and comes into Tallahassee and that panhandle, if Florida State will have a game then, because there's just too much, the power lines here, the pine trees around Tallahassee. Whenever we had hurricane last year, we lost power in here for about 6 days, no classes, nothing. And you would see another result of that. Definitely if it's at a Cat 2, Cat 3 region. A Cat 2 here in Tallahassee is really tough, even if it's 50 miles away. So I think it's tough. I think Florida State fans definitely want to see a game, and I do think it will be played. I think your better chance now is a time being changed for Saturday, facing Boise State. I don't think there will be a cancellation, but things could change in the model overnight. Could do something crazy. But yeah, safety is definitely a concern. Definitely for those coming from south, driving up to the game and then having to drive back. That's tough. And most people would have to cancel or not come, or it just makes it a really bad situation for them. It starts clogging up evacuation routes and all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of my spiel on it. But I do think Florida State will have a game on Saturday. I just think the time will be changed. I don't think Florida State can hold this game in Doak either. I just don't think that. From what I've heard, there's no way that's going to happen.
It's going to end up being an 11 a.m. noon game because their thought pattern is going to be, okay, let's play the game at, let's say, 11 a.m. You play the game at 11 a.m., game ends between 2 and 2:30, and the fans are out by, let's say the parking lot is completely, they get everyone out, no tailgating, no nothing, you just everyone get in and get out. Let's say you get the parking lot cleared out by 3:30. Okay, so but that means you've got 50,000 people getting out of town in addition to the hundreds of thousands or more people who are trying to either go north, go south, go west on I-10 towards Tallahassee and towards the Panhandle region, come south like me and come down to South Florida. This is a recipe for disaster. And we could wake up tomorrow and this storm could go due north, it could go due east, and we could all look like idiots sitting here saying, oh, you need to cancel this game. And I've been through this before. When I was in high school, I went to high school in Tampa. A storm was coming right for Tampa. It was going to destroy Tampa. At the last minute, it went south and hit Sarasota. I would rather be wrong and just be completely incorrect. People saying, "Oh, you're stupid for wanting this game to be moved or this game to be canceled," than risk adding 50,000 plus more people to the problem. And as far as for what Logan said about the possibility of the game against Louisiana Monroe being canceled, I think it's going to go enough to where it would hit on a Wednesday. I know this is going to sound horrible to say, but I think there's enough days in between when the storm would hit before it would even consider postponing that game or moving that to a Sunday or something like that. So, but on a serious note, and this is to all the people who are watching this, if you live in the state of Florida, if you live in that area, please take this seriously. This is going to be a serious storm. This is going to be a storm that not many people have seen in a while. It's going to be similar to those in the Panhandle like you dealt with last year with Hurricane Michael. Please take this seriously. I don't care if you're wearing orange and blue, orange and green, or garnet and gold. Please take this seriously.
That's bold there, Jason, saying that. Orange and blue and green and orange.
That's what we're going to start. We're going to start with that. We're going to start 12 minutes into the show with the number 8 team in the country that somehow got lucky against the Miami Hurricanes. Okay. You want to go there right now?
I'm not. I'm ready to talk some Boise State. I think, and it kind of ended. I do think Florida State will play this game Saturday. I just think it'll be a time change, and I'm ready to see some football. I'm ready. I've been talking about it way too much. Too many months now. Too much work. I know on your end at chopchat.com, y'all been putting out a lot of work. Over here, we've been trying our hardest while in classes on this kind of stuff. I need to see football in front of my eyes. It's time. I want to see some hitting. I want to hear fans screaming and everything. It's time to start getting some answers.
It is time. That was the best statement I heard. It is time. And certainly, Jason, you're taking a bit of a beating in the comments. But let me remind everyone, as Jason alluded to, and I tried to summarize as well, it's easy after the fact if the storm is not quite what it was anticipated to be, number one, or if the timing works out to where the game could have been played on time or a little bit earlier. It's easy in hindsight to say, oh, it wasn't a big deal or it could have been played, but the decisions have to be made days in advance. And I would think this decision should be made, I would think, Thursday at the latest, that they should be able to come up with a decision.
Well, they're going to make the decision tomorrow morning, but I'll use an example on a personal note. We covered Hurricane Irma 2 years ago that decimated parts of the Keys before going up the Gulf Coast and going towards the Panhandle. And that's the first thing is you have people saying before we interview them, oh, no, it's no big deal. Oh, we're going to have a party. We're going to have a party. And then your house gets completely destroyed. And it's, oh, well, why didn't anyone warn us? Why weren't we prepared? You were warned. This is your warning. Yes, everyone's going to say, oh, the storm's not going to hit until Sunday or Monday. There is more to storm prep. There is more to saving yourself, saving your home, saving important things, than just, oh, look, there's a storm coming in a couple hours. Let us get out.
As Jamie points out here, all the people saying, quote, what is he so scared of, are obviously people who have probably never been through a hurricane. Grow up people, football isn't as important as human safety. Thank you so much, Jamie, for backing us up on this one and backing up Jason in particular.
Tell all the people who grew up in South Florida about Hurricane Andrew. Oh, Hurricane Andrew is not going to be a big deal. Well, the city of Homestead and Florida City and everything got completely destroyed, and there's areas that are still not built. So, deal with it, people. I'm an FSU alum. I'm proud FSU alum. I want to be on 95 and on my way to Jacksonville starting Friday. But if it means risking life, or it means FSU season starting next Saturday against Louisiana Monroe against Boise State, I'm going to choose that one real quick. And if you can't go along with that or can't understand why, then your priorities are messed up. There, I said it.
We've got 63 on the line. Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. This is our 14th edition of Florida State Seminoles Live. We got Jason Parker on the line from Chop Chat. We also have Logan Robinson, the two of our faithful here. You can check out Logan's work there at Knoll Game Day. And of course, we do this each and every Wednesday night at 7 o'clock Eastern time. So for as good as it's been for the first 13 weeks and now 14, imagine week number 15 when we can look back, hopefully on the Boise State game, actually talk football that just got played the previous week, and then also look ahead and talk about the next game. We will have too much to talk about starting next week. And as Logan points out there, if you like the conversation, whether you agree with us or not, but you like the conversation, what we do here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, and specifically with the Florida State Seminoles live show, hit the like button. Thank you.
Did Logan really comment on his own thing that he is appearing in? Really, Logan? That's what you're going with this? Damn.
I did. I've been doing it for the last couple of weeks. I've been talking with the chat, getting to know some people, getting to know some of your Miami friends that you've made the last 14 weeks.
Wow, we're going to talk about this before this is all said and done here. We're going to get over this.
You're missing out. You need to have a Chop Chat one in here.
Okay, we'll get on that.
I'm trying to get these likes up. We have 65 people in here. And I know they're on their phones and stuff, and they got accounts. Most of them should, but only 15 likes. There's got to be a way to bring it up. There's got to be a way.
If you want to be safe from a hurricane, like Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football.
There's a direct correlation right there. There's a divine intervention there that you must, yes.
Or if you're
like
ready.
The video.
Or if you didn't get a Popeye sandwich and you were frustrated, you should like this. Make sure they come back with those. Shout out to Popeyes. You need to come back with the sandwiches.
You have to wait a while. They announced that they're coming back, but it's going to take a little while.
Mark Rogers TV, voice of college football. We gave you that shout out there. We shouted you out to Popeyes, tagged you with Popeyes. Hopefully they paid attention to you.
Hopefully.
Yes, we'll be hearing from Popeyes, no doubt, very soon. Very soon. They're just counting their money right now, trying to decide how much they're going to throw at us. Is what they're determining.
Exactly.
It's the only thing that's been on hold about this whole deal.
Can we talk football now?
Yeah, exactly. That was going to be my next statement. We're 21 minutes into the show. We need to talk some football. We've been talking about how we're going to prep the Boise State game, and now we are here. So each team has announced its starting quarterback. We've known all along that it's going to be James Blackman, but it wasn't official. And obviously Alex Hornibrook does have a bit of a track record there at Wisconsin. So it was feasible that there would be a battle, but it is James Blackman. He appears to be the best choice. Obviously knows the offense, knows the program, knows his teammates much better than his competitor, but a solid backup in play from a program that finished in the top 5 with Alex Hornibrook as the starting quarterback. So, Logan, we got James Blackman and an offensive line under siege, a bit questionable, facing a Boise State defensive front that's supposed to be very good, brings back just about everybody and was one of the best performing units in the nation. So I think the game plan and the keys to the game, I should say, start and end right there.
Yeah, so James Blackman was announced as starter on Sunday at 9:30. A little late announcement there. And this has been it was a pretty decent battle. I wasn't thinking it was that big of a deal, but it's, kind of came out publicly whenever James Blackman was talking about, he was kind of mentally, he was kind of fit himself as his starter and a little bit of the time during fall camp. And then, he had to wake up and, he had to make sure he was being himself, and he mentioned, Hornibrook gave him some good competition. He's glad he came. He thinks he got better out of it, and I think so too. I think that was a smart move on Taggart and company, and the move they did with bringing Hornibrook in from Wisconsin. It's good for Blackman. You don't want to have a guy that's there and you're already going to be your projected starter and not have a guy there pushing him from behind. And talking about the offensive line too, and I think this really is a big deal with Kendall Briles coming in with Randy Clements, who's the offensive line coach for Florida State, and having those two know each other well and how the offense is going to work plays a big role in how this team is going to play. Of course, this is a first season opener. We saw how Florida State's offensive line was last year. It was all over the place, sporadic, horrid in multiple games. I don't think you're going to see a whole 180. You're definitely not going to see it in the season opener, in my opinion. You got a freshman that's starting there with Dante Lucas from IMG. But I'm very high on, I think the future is bright with Randy Clements as an offensive line coach there with his track record. And I think with, like I said, Kendall Briles coming in and Clements coming in together, it helps quite a bit in running that offense. But I'll also mention this too. This is James Blackman. He was it was told that he talked to the team before they faced Alabama when he was a true freshman, probably 17, 18 years old. He stood up and talked to the team before Florida State faced Alabama in Atlanta. And then 2018, of course, DeAndre got the start. But you could tell, in 2018, who the biggest leader was. And multiple players said it was James Blackman, who was on the sideline, which was pretty interesting to me after DeAndre Francois was having a rough season last year. And now James Blackman has the reins, and I think this offensive line and as a team as a whole, definitely his offense, are going to fight for him. That offensive line is going to try their hardest to protect him because they, like he said in the interview, what was it, Monday? He said, Jay Black loves my team, and the team loves Jay Black, so they're conjoined. This whole team is off of social media. I think that this is pretty interesting. Florida State has a very nice leader, and I think that's a huge deal that this team has needed for a couple of years now, and James Blackman has that.
Yeah, and I think ever since DeAndre Francois was dismissed from the team, James Blackman, this was his team. He had to play himself out of the starting role. This was, if you watched during the spring game, obviously, I think the thing most people forgot when they talked about could Alex Hornibrook actually come in and be the starter for the Seminoles against Boise State. Remember, this guy didn't come in until the summer. He still had to graduate from Wisconsin in the spring, so he didn't come in until May, June time to FSU, as opposed to James Blackman, who has been the man, has been the starting quarterback all through the spring, all through the spring game, and all through the summer. He has been the number one guy. So, but this is where the question is going to come into play. Is Kendall Briles, because let's give Alex Hornibrook credit, shout out to the left-handed people out there. He is a decent quarterback. He was a 3-year starting quarterback, won the Orange Bowl, was basically within a game of making the college football playoff as a starting quarterback at Wisconsin. Is he going to ride the bench? Let's assume that Florida State has a 9-3 season, and Blackman doesn't play himself out of the job. Is Hornibrook? He didn't transfer in to just sit on the bench, so that's going to be the question. How is Briles going to keep him happy? Is he going to have certain plays like FSU used to do back during the Dynasty era with the Kentucky Derby offense, where you bring in the quarterback to start the drive? You bring in John Stark for a while, Danny Cannell when he was backing up Charlie Ward, where they would start the drive with a different quarterback other than Charlie Ward, other than Danny Cannell, other than Thad Busby. Are there going to be different techniques, different formations, different everything? How is he going to keep everyone happy? I think as long as James Blackman doesn't play himself out of the starting job, he will be the starting quarterback all 13 games. Knock on wood, maybe 14 games if they somehow can figure out a way to upset Clemson and have a deep run into the postseason.
Boise State joined FBS play in 1996 and, of course, rose to prominence about 12 or 13 years ago with a big Fiesta Bowl win against Oklahoma, a number of undefeated seasons, one-loss seasons, busting through the BCS party. And so these big openers and non-conference games for Boise State, and most of them played on the road, is not a new thing. Oklahoma State on the road last year. Back in 2017, they went to Washington State They had a game in 2016 against Washington State and Oregon State, although we can barely count Oregon State in the Power Five at this point. But 2015, it's BYU, it's Washington, it's Virginia on the schedule. In 2014, Ole Miss was on the schedule, as well as 2013, a game against Washington. I see Michigan State in 2012. I remember that game against Le'Veon Bell and company. And if you go back further into the decade, a big matchup on a neutral site against Virginia Tech. And when I say neutral site, it's kind of like the Florida State matchup. They played in the Redskins RFK Stadium at the time against Virginia Tech. They had a big game against Georgia and pretty much embarrassed the Bulldogs on national television in the opener as well. So this is nothing new for this Boise State program, which has obviously been, even though the emergence has been from UCF over the past 2 seasons, this has been the first-rate, first-class, top-of-the-rung Group of 5 program over the past decade plus, and they have a new starting quarterback in Hank Bachmeier, who won the starting job in a 3-way competition. And we don't know much about him, except he is rated as one of the highest recruits ever signed at Boise State. Supposed to have near elite talent. But again, this is going to be his first game played. And they really were, after Brett Rippon graduated with a Mountain West Conference record for passing yards, they were really decimated at the quarterback position and had no experience in a 3-man battle that went down to the final week. So Boise State, fortified offensive line with 5 starters back. The wide receivers are back. Alexander Madison was one of the best running backs in the nation last year with about 1,400 yards, but he's gone. So it looks like running back by committee and a quarterback that they're going to want to really pay attention to the game planning and trying to protect his psyche, especially early in the game, guys.
And I didn't realize that until today that Bachmeier actually, he played part of his time in high school or played against Jane Lars Woodsby from California when they were in high school. So he actually, they spent a little time. I'm not sure if it was playing against him or playing together. So there's a little familiar faces there with that one. That's but right. I think that playing the true freshman, and he could be an amazing quarterback, and that's fine. I think this is where the FSU defensive line, the front 7, they have to be licking their chops. This is the chance. You are going up against a Boise State team that, on paper, you are favored. You're a slight favorite against. You have more physical guys up front. This is the chance where you take advantage of this. You need to knock him on his butt. You need to knock Bachmeier down and make him realize that it's going to be a long day. And that's where one of the advantages, if they move this game up to an 11 a.m., a 12 o'clock, when as any weather person can tell you, it's going to be hot as hell in Jacksonville on August 31st at 12 noon, 1 o'clock. And if you're getting beaten, you're getting knocked around, and it's also 90 degrees and humidity of 80%, it's going to take your toll on you, and you're going to see that star-studded recruit all of a sudden, come get knocked down a peg. So that's where the FSU, that front 7, and in particular that front line, if Marvin Wilson is back to 100%, we've talked about before, Joshua Kando, these guys, that's going to be their job, is getting to him and knocking them on their butt. And I'm sorry, Jamie McCassin, all these delusional FSU fans actually think they stand a chance against Miami. Florida State's going to beat Miami. It's not about standing a chance. We're going to beat Miami.
I can't wait until the week of that game. I just can't wait to see the back and forth.
Because I'm going to have popcorn ready.
If an overrated team like Florida can get past Miami, then we're going to be fine. Don't worry about that.
I'm going to bring popcorn for that one.
Absolutely.
If y'all don't mind, I might just sit back. I might get a recliner. I might change my setting. I'm going to go sit in my recliner.
I need you to talk to Cam Underwood from State of the U. I've got some connections. We're going to do it at a sports bar down here. We'll get a live audience.
Oh,
get this party going. We will make FSU Miami.
Yeah, we're going to make it one big 2-hour block. Is what we can do.
Absolutely, but we'll do it live where alcoholic beverages may be provided. I don't know. Who knows? Who knows? If we do that sort of thing.
Don't worry.
What you do on site is up to you, Jason.
Don't worry. I've got a.
If you fall off the stool, you'll just I can with a click of a mouse knock you right off the air. So whatever I need to do.
I've never had alcohol in my life. I never, one time at FSU, had an alcoholic beverage. Never. Not one.
No, not you. Not you, ever.
Jamie, it's my thought as a neutral analyst here, of course, that if you're so confident about this situation with these delusional FS Who fans who believe that they have a chance against Miami, I'm thinking that product that I saw from Florida State last year, as I've mentioned many times during our 14 shows, was the worst I've seen out of a Florida State football team, and they lost by 1 point to Miami last year and should have won the game, of course.
We've lost by 5 points the last 2 years, and Miami fans think they're back. Just remember that. Jamie, you should have beat Florida. I'll give Miami credit. We'll talk about that later because Logan's been chomping at the bits to wait and see how much money I'm going to give to charity for Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. But yes, yeah. I get that you almost beat Florida, but you're going to end up going 0 for 2 against the state rivals this year. You might. I apologize. You know what? You're going to go 1 and 2 because you're going to beat FIU on November 23rd. I apologize.
Hey, Mark, do you think there's any merit to guys playing harder for a guy they love, juxtaposed to a guy that just respected as a football player, not quite understanding this? I'm guessing if you're talking about the head football coach, yes, if the guys truly believe in the mission, believe in the coach, and believe that he knows what he's doing and knows how to run a program and that he cares about them, we're all human. And so, yes, there's greater incentive there and motivation, I would think.
If Rashad's talking about Willie Taggart as the head coach, I know there were some people earlier, once again, with the continuous bashing of Willie Taggart because of what took place record-wise last year. And we've got into this for the previous 13 weeks, so I'm going to save it on this 14th week. I think you're going to see a team that is more all in this year. You had a lot of guys last year who sold out early, and basically mailed it in after, I would say, probably the Clemson game with how bad Clemson beat us, just basically sold out on us at that point. A lot of those guys are gone. A lot of those guys are out, and I think you're going to see a different team this year. Once again, I'm not saying 12-0 playing for the ACC championship, but you are going to see a different type of FSU this season. It was the first game with the new head coach. Yes, Miami will improve. Miami won that game. Miami had that game won late in the fourth quarter. Miami was about to pull off the great upset in the first week. Miami should be proud. Jared Williams, I'm sorry, with all due respect to Dan Enos, he had no business calling out Jared Williams. Jared Williams did not lose that game. Your god-awful offensive line giving up 10 sacks lost that game. Jeff Thomas dropping a touchdown in the end zone lost that game. I'm sorry, it was not Jared Williams. Jared Williams was a great quarterback. Excuse me, I apologize. Jared Williams was a very good quarterback for being his first substantial time, playing arguably, and I say this with all due respect to our Seminoles, on paper, the best defense he's going to play all season. So yes, Miami will be fine. You're still going to lose to FSU, but you'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, bringing you Florida State Seminoles live each and every Wednesday night at 7 o'clock Eastern time with these fine gentlemen. We've got Jason Parker in the middle from Chop Chat. We also have Logan Robinson on the line from Knoll Game Day. And Logan will, of course, Jason won't, but Logan will mix it up with you in the live chat.
No, I'm a peaceful person. I will never. I've come for everyone. Florida people. Miami
I said that in a positive way, mixing it up with everyone.
Yeah, we got to get in
here.
Logan's a troublemaker. I don't know. He's wearing his college shirt. Shout out to Knoll Game Day.
I fuel it. I'll be honest. I like fueling it. It entertains me. It gives me something to do. I mean, I enjoy watching the arguments between Miami fans because it drains me, but I like watching it though. And it's a good time.
Living down here, I'm used to it. So I deal with it every single day.
That's why you like it right there.
It gets me fresh for work. So, it just gives me hyped up.
Exactly.
Folks, we love doing this show each and every Wednesday night. We appreciate the support. We appreciate the participation. We're up to 92 on the line. I believe that's close to what we've done in recent weeks. So as the games get close, and now we're going to be deep into the football season as of next week, don't be selfish and just join the live chat yourself, but bring your family and friends and your social media acquaintances. Also want to let you know that if you sign up for betnow.eu, you help a charitable cause, hashtag Sam Strong. You'll see that down in the description section below. Just grab that link next to the hashtag Sam Strong, and you go to betnow.eu if you grab that link, and you get not 50% added. I understand now from Volunteer Roadshow, 100% added to your account. So you double your money right out of the gate. You get ahead of the sticks. And then, of course, you listen to me, Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. My predictions on the voice of college football community. That's another link that you find down in the description section below. If we add any more links, guys, I don't know what we're going to do. They're going to run out of space on YouTube. But we've got another link down there that you see next to voice of college football community. You sign up, you get our weekly predictions right there as well. And of course, I will look to these guys to pick a winner between Florida State and Boise State. I see that the point spread right now is FSU by 5.5.
Hey, Mark, is this the point where Logan's going to gloat for our bet that we made? Is this the point in the show where that we talked about later in the show where he's going to gloat about it?
Mm-hmm. I mean,
Been teed up for him.
I'm always a winner. I've kind of gotten that since I was little. And I know even before we even made the bets, you're like, I took my team that I knew would win the game. And I think it was just good. I think this is just good for a good cause. And I also won out of it. So, I mean, I'm just extra happy about it. And I couldn't be happier on this Wednesday evening. Getting ready for game day on Saturday. This is great. I love it.
Now, how many weeks would you have not been able to go to Bullwinkles or Potbellies or wherever else you college hooligans party in Tallahassee? Yeah, because I'm so old that
Yeah.
Since I used to go to Stroger Library and study for my exams and whatnot.
You would never party, right?
Never once, never. I was an RA. Shout out Kellum Hall, rest in peace. So I'm just wondering, how many, did you save all your money from the Natty Lights?
Mm-hmm.
The natural ice, natural light. I'm not sure which one.
Natty Ice is the blue one that I drink. Yes, that is the one because it's higher alcohol percentage. It's not the Natty Light. You have to have the higher alcohol. And then there's Natty Daddies, which I'm trying to get myself used to. And that's what I'll probably be drinking on Saturday before the game.
So two things. Number one, when you graduate from FSU, you will never have a natural light again. It's actually one of the reasons why you do graduate, so that you never have to have a PBR or a Natty Light again, unless you're so drunk at a bar that you order it just out of natural habit, and that's number one.
Natural.
Number two, yes, Miami lost to Florida. Yes, I bet on Miami. Logan bet on Florida. He really went out on a limb with this one. So, as per our bet with Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, as our witness, I, Jason Parker from ShopChat.com, am going to donate $100 to the charity. We're going to give $100 from ShopChat. Yes, I saved my pennies. I have a nice job down here.
So you're stealing from the coffers basically to pay off your bet is what you're doing here.
No, I just bought generic stuff at Publix this week. Shout out to Publix. They had good buy one, get ones this week. So we've been saving money. Let's be honest. I knew Miami was going to lose this, so I kind of been saving money for a few weeks. So we will give $100 in the name of ShopChat to the charity so that we can help someday, God willing, eradicate childhood cancer and cancer all around. It's a great cause. If you haven't given, you need to give.
Good stuff. I like that.
We've got William Lee on the line, faithful viewer. We appreciate William jumping on the line and asking this question, but he's not very specific. So hopefully you guys know whom he's talking about.
I think he's asking who we think are the two highest rated DBs right now at this point. Logan, you want to touch on yours and I'll give mine?
I asked last week about, didn't hear an answer. How are they doing? The highly rated, what would that be? That would be and what, Dent at this time? I mean, if we're talking about now on the team, who are we thinking here? Would be, I mean, either way, that they're your highest DBs going into the season. Of course, Keem Dent came in as a freshman. I think he does get some burn during the Boise State game. Woodby is now going to be switched around quite a bit. I think he'll stay more at linebacker area. He's an interesting build because he's got like the linebacker type, but he's a DB at heart. And it's going to be interesting to see how he gets utilized with Barnett. I'm still very curious about how this defense is going to work. And seeing who's going to be moving down, who's going to stay out. I want to see how Levante Taylor moves. I would say Levante Taylor is also your other highest rated DB over there. And I want to see how he works. He's had a pretty decent fall camp. And I don't know. I'm just very interested to see how this defense is going to be ran because yesterday it had some downs quite a bit too. Everybody's, the excitement's probably heading towards the offense now with Kendall Briles, but I'm very curious to see, how Barnett is going to use some of these guys, and there's a lot of other talent that's behind some of them. I'm high on Hampson Nasruddin. I think he's one of the hardest hitting guys there, one of your biggest tacklers too. There's a lot of DBs there. The number one guy that I'm excited for, probably on defense as a whole heading into the 2019 season, is going to be Asante Samuel Jr. Mm-hmm. He had a pretty impressive freshman year. Most of his mistakes were mentally. I think he has the physical attributes to be a very nice and have a very nice career at Florida State. He's been a big trash talker, a highlight of both the spring and fall. I saw him in person in multiple practices. I like the vibe that he brings to that team and that defense as a whole. And I think you're gonna see a pretty impressive second year out of Asante Samuel Jr.
The one that surprised me, and we've talked before about how we think Jaden Lars will be. I think he's going to be the man. I think you're going to see him playing safety. You'll see him play up a little bit more of the linebacker and kind of that Tampa 2 style defense right there. I think that the one that surprised me, honestly, was Akeem Dent not being in the starting lineup. I legitimately, after watching the spring game, after hearing about him, thought that he would be given a shot to start this opener. I think you're going to see a lot of him. I think he's on the 2 deep. So right now, that's the guy who I want to see out of the secondary the most, because I think he's a guy who could be a playmaker. I mean, he caused a fumble literally the first drive of the spring game. And I think he's the guy who I want to see the most out of. I want to see what can this guy do. I also want to see, can we go back real quick? I believe there was a couple of comments before to Jamie, Mr. UM guy, who made a comment about how FSU had won close the 3 years before and how we had bragged. Yes, and we'll continue to brag. It's like we'll brag about when you brought in the number 7 team in the country that was undefeated, and I believe we waxed them 41-14. I'm just saying, I deal in facts. I deal in numbers. Just throwing that out. Shout out, Jameis Winston. How you doing, buddy?
I think Jamie was merely pointing out that even though Miami has won a close game this past season, and maybe it's been seen as excuses, whether from me or from you, that Florida State having much better teams the previous years barely got past Miami teams that were pretty marginal.
Winning is winning. Shout out to Miami. They have done their job the last 2 seasons and have beaten us the last 2 seasons. They deserve to brag. They deserve all the praise in the world. Just like in 2014 when they were up 23-7 on us, and then we came back and got that. So it's the way the rivalry goes, and we'll talk about this as the season goes on, why it's the best rivalry in all of college football.
This is the best rivalry in college football, Florida State, Miami?
Florida State, Miami, without a doubt, is the best rivalry in all of college football. Oh, please believe I will send you –
Without a doubt?
Without a doubt. When you look not just at who has played for championships, what it has meant.
30 years ago?
No, in 2013, there was teams that were number 3, number 7 in the country. So it's happened a couple of years ago.
You're telling me that Miami finished as the 7th rated team in the country in 2013?
When the teams played.
Or you're looking at preseason polls?
No, when teams played.
Miami was not very good in 2013. They did not finish number 7 in the country. I think they lost by 4 touchdowns to Louisville in a third-tier bowl game.
Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. When they played the Seminoles, when they came in, College Game Day was there. I was there.
Before they played anyone. Yes, they had a decent record at that point in the season, but that Miami team was not the 7th best team in the country.
I'm sorry.
It's a great rivalry. It is a great rivalry. And if you disregard tradition, if you disregard history and just look at the way it was played and the athletes on the field from about the late 80s to the mid 90s, it was as good as it gets. No question. It is not anywhere close to the greatest rivalry in college football.
Where's my Ohio violin? Because I know you're going to say Ohio State, Michigan is the best rivalry, and it's not even close.
We could point to any reasonable poll that's been taken of college football fans, and Ohio State and Michigan would rank so much higher than Florida State and Miami on a ranking of rivalries.
By people who voted from Cleveland.
I think even Miami. Do we want to compare television ratings on these 2 games?
Oh, so what? People are sitting at home watching TV. People sitting at home are watching us right now. Does that mean we're the highest rated show on YouTube on Wednesdays between 7 and 8 o'clock? Shout out to Mark Rogers.
No, we're not the high. Unfortunately, we're not. We're getting there, but we're not the highest rated show on YouTube probably right now. But Ohio State and Michigan is the highest rated regular season game every year. Because
Fox has started promoting it now. Look at all their promos for college football. Hey, we got Michigan, Ohio State. whatever. Miami, Florida State. We will talk about this as the season goes on.
We'll get there. You guys need to worry about Boise State, which leads me to the question: how worried are you about Boise
I didn't say
State?
anything. Don't say
you get nervous for these games.
Mark, we've said this for the last month. I know Logan has said it before, and I have said it literally for the last month. And I will say it to all the Florida State fans out there, and you can call me, you can attack me as a Florida State fan, or attack my fandom for this. Boise State, if this game is played, is fully capable of coming to Jacksonville and leaving with a win. They are fully capable of coming in. They have the talent. They have won big games before. They have beaten teams with more tradition, more wins, more championships than we have in Tallahassee. They are fully capable of coming in there and leaving with a W and putting more and more pressure on Willie Taggart and his time in Tallahassee. Is it going
Logan, did you hear what he just said?
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Logan is
for as pro Florida State as you are, which you get the pass for that, Jason. I completely understand. It's your alma mater. You're a fan. You're now writing. I get that. You went the complete 180 because it's Boise State beaten. It's got a better tradition and history than Florida State.
No, I did not say that. I said they've beaten teams. They beat Oklahoma, which, yes, has more wins, more championships. They've beaten Georgia, which has a longer tradition of playing football. Remember, we've only been playing football.
Just the way that you stated, it sounded like it was like a yearly thing for Boise State to beat programs that were better than Florida State. I was shocked by that statement.
You are trying to stir the pot. You are just trying to make stuff up here. Listen, Mark Rogers TV. They have beaten teams that have more wins, more championships than us. Do I think they're going to beat Florida State if this game is played? No, I think FSU wins. Spoiler alert, there's my prediction. I think FSU wins the game. But if FSU comes in, and this is my warning to any FSU fans who are watching, any players who may be watching this right now, if FSU goes in with the mindset that because we're Florida State, because we're a team that won a national title 6 years ago, because we're a team that had the dynasty era and all that other stuff in the 80s and the 90s and the early 2000s. If FSU comes in with this mindset that because we are FSU that we are going to beat Boise State can beat us. Boise State has the ability to beat us. Now, with that being said, I know we're going to talk to predictions later. I think that if FSU comes in with the mindset off of what took place last year and does play with that chip on their shoulder, I think they win the game. I'm not going to say easily, but I think they win it comfortably, I think would be the right word.
AB definition of a rivalry game: wins alternate. I didn't know that was necessarily. I understand that the competitive aspect of the rivalry should be in play, but no, that is not the definition of a rivalry game. I will address that at some other time, AB. So I'll put you on notice for that one.
Mark Rogers TV, anyone who goes after Mark Rogers TV, he just wants to bring down. He's got Ohio mentality, OHIO. I mean,
we're here to educate. That's one of my main missions in life, is to educate people on college football. I tell everyone that this channel is for the hardcore smart fan, but don't worry, if you're not the smart fan, you will be a smart fan. Just keep it locked in, lock it in, listen.
Logan has something to say.
I have something important, which I saw a comment on here from, I don't remember the name, might be able to find it here, but commented and said, here it is: James Blackman is a stick with no mobility with a sorry offensive line. So one thing that I'm going to have to, either you probably didn't watch 2017 and you didn't watch whenever James Blackman played against NC State, but he was maybe better than DeAndre was. And I think of course, the offensive line is going to be a problem. Maybe not. You could see a better production from this year. I'm expecting an improvement at least. But I think James Blackman, you'll see this year, it'll be a lot better than DeAndre Francois in two ways. So first off, not sitting there in the pocket and reading one player and one wide receiver the entire game. You're going to see James Blackman pull up into the pocket, read the defense a little bit. He's quite a bit taller, and it's shown in film too. He does read the defense a little bit better, and I think he's going to get to his wide receivers. And deep balls, yes. The quick game is going to be his first thing that we'll have to see if he's gotten better at during practice. But being able to pull up in that pocket is going to save him from getting nailed quite a bit. DeAndre Francois decided just to sit still for most of those games, and that's why he got walloped for most of those games. Number 2, I guess I kind of already said it, but I do think DeAndre Francois didn't have that offensive line on his side for a lot of the season. I think a lot of guys didn't trust him, didn't have him as a leader. And I think this, with James Blackman coming in just for leadership side of things, you're going to see that offensive line fight for him. And, it's going to be, you'll see. I've heard so many good things about James Blackman since being here. I've talked with his father. We interviewed his father the weekend after the Alabama game, because he was he was the starter after DeAndre Francois went down, and he's raised right, very focused guy, and he's got that locker room. He does have that locker room, and I think if you're one to put up a lot of points, you have a guy that's going to sling that ball. So I think it's gonna be a lot different than DeAndre Francois. Just watch a little bit of the past film, and you'll see it this year too.
And I think
Jason, before we get to you real quick, the comment that I've left on the screen, maybe that's going to become the tagline that we're just going to use anytime you and I get into an argument. I'll just save this and I'll just throw it up there.
Which member of your family is AB? Is that a cousin? Is that a sibling? Which member of your family is AB? I'm just wondering what AB stands for. Or is that you? Is that you doing that? Like Logan with Noel Game Day getting that? Just wondering what's going on. Just to touch real quick on what Logan said and what the commenter said, a lot of those comments are going to be what FSU fans are going to have to deal with through the first couple of weeks of the season. We've talked about kind of that, what happens, and this is something new. I and Logan and I have not been alive for a Florida State losing season. That was the first losing season of my lifetime, so I'm still not dealing well with it. So it's one of these things of how does FSU bounce back? And we talked about this. If FSU can bounce back strong and go into that Clemson game 4-1, 5-0, it's going to shut up a lot of these people who are, James Blackman's horrible, offensive line's putrid, and all this other stuff. It's going to keep a lot of people quiet, but that's what FSU is going to deal with. Even if FSU beats Boise State, you're going to have the yeah, but mentality, both inside the FSU fan base, who are never going to give Willie Taggart credit or give James Blackman credit, and you're going to have the outside world who are going to be, I need to see it again. I need to see it again against Virginia. All right, well, if they go and beat Virginia, I need to see it against NC State. All right, well, if they go and beat NC State, you go into Clemson 5-0. But that's what FSU is going to have to deal with on this time. To the one writer who said, Mark Rogers, you're smoking. FSU Miami is the greatest rivalry. Can you keep DeShonta Smith's comment as well after Mark Rogers is 100% correct? We'll just keep that as well.
This merely, as the producer of the show, Jason, as the producer of the show, shows that I am not afraid to put on the haters' comments and to try to make me look bad. DeShonta, the only thing I will let you know is that you just need to continue to watch the channel, listen to the analysis, and learn.
Can we do our predictions? I've been waiting 8 months for this prediction.
Cut loose. Go.
You get it, Jason.
No, Logan, you go first.
Oh, you want me to go first?
I've got the spear back here. I gotta go get my Seminole head real quick.
I gotta see this. No, dang it. All right, so I think Florida State, this is pretty much a home game. I think this game will be played. It's just going to be a different time. Florida State is heading in with a new offensive line coach with Randy Clements, who I'm very, I think, highly on. I think this offense is the most, and we said it last year too, but I think you see a better product by far. I think Florida State and Willie Taggart do leave Jacksonville with a win. They start off 1-0, other than last year when they started off 0-1 against Virginia Tech. I think there's two running backs that are very, very talented with chips on their shoulder. And you're going to see a wide receiver unit that is stupid stacked. I think there's a lot of talent there, and you're going to have a quarterback that's going to be able to give them that ball and where they want it. And there's just been a lot of talk about what they've been doing during the off season. You're not seeing guys on social media. This is like a whole 180 from last year. It seems like everybody's focused in. The last time I haven't seen them not be on social media. The last time I've seen this was back in 2013, whenever Jameis made sure to cut it all off. James Blackman was the one during the team meeting that told them no social media. And I'm going to go Florida State 28, Boise State 23, and Florida State gets a win before the hurricane comes.
Damn, Logan, you took all my time there. Jeez. All right, so real quick, we're going to keep it like this. I've written this before on shopchat.com if you want to check it out. We wrote about this on Sunday. If this game is played, is going to be the most important game of Willie Taggart's coaching career. Out of any game at USF, out of any game at Western Kentucky. If he wins this game, it makes things a little bit easier, and it starts to build some momentum after what took place, losing 4 of their last 5 games to end the 2018 season. If he loses this game, if he goes into Jacksonville, if the Seminoles end up losing to Boise State, all hell is going to break loose, both inside the FSU family and around the college football world. As far as the offensive line, I think they can get away with being awful in this game because last year they were god-awful. They were atrociously bad. So as long as they're not god-awful like last year, I think they'll be fine. I do think James Blackman is going to have a successful game. I want to see what Cam Akers can do at running back. On the defensive side of the ball, we talked about it earlier, they need to put pressure on this freshman quarterback for Boise State. In the end, I like FSU 30, Boise State 24, with the asterisk if this game is indeed played, which I want it to be played, but I'm still just a little bit worried that they're going to make a decision at the last minute and cancel it. I hope not, and I hope everyone please be safe no matter where you are in Florida. You know, we joke about it, but please, wherever you are, be safe and stay safe from the start.
I can only think of one other game that I'd like to see more this weekend. That's Auburn and Oregon. So this is the game that I really want to see this weekend. I've been looking forward to it the entire off season. For my prediction, you have to go to the link below and sign up for our Voice of College Football community. But I will certainly come back, and you guys can be sure that whatever the final score is basically what I'm going to let you know what my prediction was from the previous.
Boo this man. Boo him.
Boo, boo, boo.
This is the way the game's played, boys.
Okay.
This is the way you got to build a YouTube channel. That's what they tell me. So you grab the link below. Voice of College Football Community, you get my predictions on a weekly basis, including Florida State and Boise State. The one prediction I will make is I believe Florida State's going to score more points than they did in last year's opener.
So when they get a touchdown on their first drive, you've gotten that stat.
I hope they can score more points than that.
Way to go out there on a limb there, Chief. Good job.
Logan, enjoy the game.
Will do.
Jason, enjoy the game and be safe.
All right.
Yes, we finally made it. We're here. I am ready to get off and just get ready and go travel and go see some people, hit some people.
And I'm going to be so excited next week. I'm most excited about just watching football through Thursday through Monday. But in terms of actually talking about football, that next week we can talk about football that we actually saw on the field.
Yeah, that will
and
help.
then preview the next game. That's going to be great.
You
guys are amazing. We're building momentum. We had about 100 on the line at one point. We'll have a couple thousand watch this. So again, bring on your Florida State friends, college football fans, to watch us each and every week at 7:00 Eastern time. Logan, Jason, we appreciate it, man.
Buy tickets to James Coleman's tailgate. Make sure. Shout out James Coleman. Big game, James.
Yeah, buddy.
We will see you soon. We'll be back with Miami Talk in just a minute.
To the face.
Okay, guys. Thank you.